Medicare open enrollment is just around the corner, October 15th for 2023. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means for you? Do you know what you need to do to navigate and get the best situation, the best deal for you and your family if you're an older or if you're an other like me in the sandwich generation? All these questions we're going to get into today on the VivaValet YouTube channel, and I'm so glad I've got my colleague and friend John Pfisterer, the founder and president of Pfisterer Insurance and Retirement Insurance. Welcome, John. Thank you so much
Great.
for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. You can't tell.
I'm thrilled that you're on. And you know, when I talked to olders and also others like myself, sandwich generation moms, we're often confused about how to help our parents or the olders in our lives. I would love it if you could introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about what it is that you do in the insurance world.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to do that. Once again, John Pfister here with Pfister Retirement and Insurance. I am a independent brokerage firm here in the Chicagoland area, and what we do is help individuals who are aging into and already in the retirement specter. That's we can do other things, but that's kind of the area that we like to be in because we feel like it's the most underserved. And it's really important when someone retires to get it right the first time. When it goes to health insurance, retirement income, long-term, whatever that is what we do and we help and we specialize in. And I've been doing insurance for over 6 years, going on to 7 now. My wife used to be a full-time school teacher, quit last summer and started working with us at the firm full-time as well. So we're a little boutique, there's about 5 of us as agents, but we're loving it. And every day, our head hits the pillow and we can sleep at night knowing that we're doing the right thing. And that's really what's important.
Thinking about, okay, you're an insurance expert, yes. We're talking about Medicare because we're preparing for Medicare enrollment. There is so much discussion about Medicare Advantage and why that's an exciting thing and why people should be getting involved. Can you help me understand and help our viewers understand what is Medicare Advantage and why is this a good situation for them?
Sure. And so as we're getting closer to October 15th, which is the annual enrollment period for Medicare Advantage, along with prescription drug plans, it has changed the way Medicare is working. So short version is there's 2 ways for most of us when we're going on to Medicare. We have our original Medicare with our gap insurance and our prescription drug plan. So you have 3 cards that you're holding on to, or this other way, Medicare Advantage, where it started, which was very small networks and HMOs, now to today, there's enormous PPO networks depending on where you live. And that's the most important side of it, is where you live. But it's government regulated, but the government's getting out of the Medicare business. They're letting private sector take care of it. And so that's where the shift is going. Statistically, every year, more people are on these Advantage plans. So when you see Johnathan on TV, basically that's when you start gearing up and all this stuff and the information overload is out there. So
Okay, so we'll be watching for Joe Namath. Thank you. A question for you. So Medicare Advantage, and so some people who are watching might be learning about Medicare for the first time and might want to understand what's the difference between Medicare or maybe what they call regular Medicare or Medicare Advantage, or maybe people have heard about Medicare Part D as well.
sure.
Could you just give us a quick walkthrough of like the A through D and what that means?
Yeah, here's the 2-minute what the heck is Medicare? All right. So as I alluded to, so basically Medicare, there's 4 parts technically. There's A, B, C, D. So let's start with the original Medicare, which is that card that's in most people's wallets, which is A and B. A's hospitals. I mean, there's other stuff, but it's mostly hospitals, and there's a big, co-insurance that you have to pay and deductible that you got to meet. I think skilled nursing is a part of it, hospice, as well as some blood. That's all Part A. That's something that we've worked for our entire lives. So it's free when you hit 65, but is it free? You paid at least 40 quarters or 10 years worth into it. And if you're still working after 65, well, you'll still be paying there. Then B is our optional. Right. So it's the hospital. I'm sorry. It is the doctors. It's the outpatient surgeries. It's the medications you get while in the doctors or hospital. It's basically everything else. There's a deductible that's part of it. And this is the 80-20 split. So if you just have original Medicare, A and B, got to pay a big deductible for hospital stays. And then basically whatever the tally is after, you're going to owe about 20% of whatever that bill is. No cap, no ceiling. So that's why we have some additional gap of coverage along with that. We're going to skip C right now. We're going to go A, B, D.
The
Yeah.
suspense is building. Okay, so
So
let's go
D
to
is
D. What's D all about?
D for drugs. The easiest way to remember that, right? D is your prescription drug plan. Now, when you turn 65, this is a very crucial, this information is really important. When you turn 65, you have an option if you're going to keep working and you have credible cover through your work. You can opt to not take Medicare at 65 and get it later, but you got to fill out forms and give it to the Social Security office. However, let's just say hypothetically you're gonna at 65 you're not going to take Medicare, you're not going to take your drug plan, and I'm really healthy, I don't want to pay for this. But then when you turn 70 or even a year later and you want to enroll in it, there's a whole nother window of time, and you're going to have lifetime fees for not enrolling into it when you need it for both Part B and Part D. A lot of people don't talk about that. So Part D, prescription drug plan. Even if you're on one drug or no drugs, it is advantageous to enroll in one because you don't know what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball, right? So let's just be prepared for it. So that's original Medicare and what mom and dads for ages have had. A, B, D. C, other option. Here we go. I know, round two. That's your Advantage plan. That's when private insurance is getting money from the government subsidized to be your primary insurance. So although you'll still always pay your Part B, you're actually going to be carrying one card around, and you're going to carry around one of the major carriers in your area's card to go do everything. So that's the short version of what ABCD is. ABD together, and then Part C separate.
So you can if you're an insurance, well, you're a consumer of this insurance, you can have A, B, and D, or you can have C and D.
So C oftentimes includes D. So it's called a Medicare Advantage Prescription Drug Plan. So MAPD, which is, but they also have MA plans that are only just Medicare Advantage, which is just your doctors and hospitals. Those are primarily used for people that are VA, for example. If you get your drugs and all that stuff through the VA, but you still want to shop the private sector for your doctors, that's a really good opportunity for you. Or if you're somebody who didn't take your Part D when you signed up and now you're 75 and you're like, well, I don't want to pay, well, but I want a coverage, and that's another option to go down as well.
So, super helpful. Thank you for walking us through that because often that's a confusion that we hear in our families of which Medicare we're talking about, right? Of the age.
Right, exactly.
So that's super helpful. So thanks for making it clear. There's a lot of excitement. Like when we opened the meeting today, the call today, we talked about October 15th, and it's very exciting because this is the open enrollment period for Medicare, or the enrollment period, excuse me, for Medicare. What does that mean, and
Yeah,
why
what
do I
does
have
that
to,
mean? Yeah,
what does
great
it
question,
mean?
Jennifer.
What
Love
am
it.
I supposed to do?
Do nothing or do something, right? It's your opportunity. So to break it down, for Medicare prescription drug plans and Medicare Advantage, this is that time of year when you have the access to look at next year's plans and make a decision starting January 1st. Then you have another time to make a second decision, but we won't talk about that. That'll come later. But that is your glimpse, and this the big book you get, Medicare and You. They say you should shop your stuff every year, and you should. Drug plans change, formularies change, your doctors change, networks change, everything changes. These plans change, the government's changing rules, and in fact, next year they're getting rid of the catastrophic stage 4 in their prescription drug plan, which is really important to people who are on lots of prescriptions. And then there's more rules coming down the pike. So the important thing is to have a sit down with a broker, whoever you're using, me, whatever that looks like to you, and review what you have. Because what you had at 65 is probably not the same thing that you need at the age 75. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. There's no harm in looking.
So just to recap then, this period of enrollment, it's vital to study up on what you've got, on what other choices have evolved over the course of the year, and see where even your current plan is evolving, and don't trust that everything you have right now is going to be the same for next year because it might change.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a huge light bulb moment. So I also wanted to ask you, because You said Medicare Part C, Medicare Advantage is the Medicare that has private providers that are in this. How
Right.
do so you said, well, I need to select the private HMO or PPO that's going to administer my Medicare benefit. Is that the way it
Yeah,
works?
so I have no brand loyalty, right? And nor should anybody else. The government regulates what this stuff is, and you have to meet so many check marks to be able to even sell as a carrier. And then on top of that, as an agent, there's other criteria one must meet to also offer these different companies things. But so depending on where you live, will determine how many plans you have, and whether it's
So
an
for
HMO.
example, if we think about here we are in Illinois, so
Right.
VivaValet, we're operating in the west of Chicago, just as you're operating currently also in the west of Chicago. I know you're involved in other states as well, which is, maybe we
Facts.
should
True.
mention that as well. Yeah. But for like the collaboration that we have is that you're very much working with a lot of the clients that we have already on board.
Yeah, the bulk of our clients are Cook, Lake McHenry, and DuPage, right? That cluster of county is where we sit down at kitchen tables, which is really the important thing, not a telephone, not a Zoom. Although I love Zooms, saves on gas, but there's nothing like sitting down at the kitchen table and tangibly holding down next year's plan while you're shopping the appropriate specs.
Cool. Yeah. So so thank you for that. The big insurance companies that we should be looking out for are which companies are offering the Medicare Advantage benefit?
So, as far as Medicare Advantage goes, so the Medicare Advantage route versus supplemental, so there's a lot more companies offering supplemental insurance, a ton. Companies you've heard of before, the big boxes that you can see around me, my face, as well as a bunch of other ones you've never heard of before. But they have to meet federal requirements. What I look for, what's their rating? Are they an A-rated company? Do they pay their bills on time? That's the most important thing. The other thing is to look out for is what networks do they work with, and now that's going more towards Medicare Advantage. So there's a lot of information about supplemental gap insurance we could talk about as well, but if we're going to focus strictly on the Advantage plan, your big box, Blue Cross, United, Aetna, Humana, Cigna, I'm sure I'm missing some, but those are the real big ones that are out there right now, and they all have some variation of an Advantage plan. They're not all built the same. However, they do have to meet same criteria. It's just all these little extras. So you hear, I got vision, I got dental, I got, rides. I don't have rides. I get a Visa card. Every company has different hooks to get you in because they can only profit so much money off of you per year if you're super healthy. And the government regulates how much they can profit. So whatever they don't, when there's a gap there, they have to spend back on the plan. So the more people on the plan, the more money they get, which means they have to spend more money on y'all, which is a good thing. That's the marketplace working in everyone's favor. Capitalism, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think, over the course of our talk, I think you've been very, very clear. I know you've been very clear explaining these things. Yet I still feel like there's a lot of complexity that is about this. And again, you've helped us understand the different boxes, the time periods where we're active, some of the major watchouts to look for as we're entering this period. And I know I might need a little extra navigation or guidance or TLC, and maybe some of the others in my life or who are customers of VivaValet might want a little bit of guidance. Who can they ask for to get help in this process?
Well, of course. Well, the easy answer, of course, is me and my firm, right? That's the easy answer. Phone number, email, we can help you out. But what you're looking for is an actual brokerage firm, somebody who can shop the majors along with some minors for you on an annual basis. The other thing is that they're giving you their number. They're not giving you the 800 number in the back of the card. That's another big one. For me, when I'm getting my own insurance, I want to be able to call my insurance agent first if something goes bump in the night. And I want to contact. So that's what you're looking for. Somebody who's going to hold your hand when it needs to be. Ideally, you set them up. You set up where you don't need to worry. But you're not calling everybody every 10 days, right? That's a problem. But independent broker, multiple carriers, if not all the majors, and then some. That to me, that's the most important thing. And being local, I guess, put that on the box too.
And being local. And I think also to clarify for our viewers, you are located physically in Western Chicagoland. And I know you also operate in other states. So maybe you could just say which other states you're operating in.
Yeah, right now I operate the list is it's long. So I can operate in any 50 states, period. My license allows me to do that. And if I don't have that license for that state, it's a 2-second thing. The most important thing is getting contracted with each of the carriers, which I am.
Okay,
But
that's
right now, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Oregon, Texas, Arizona, New Jersey, Kansas, Florida. I'm probably missing some there as well. But if it's a state in the union, I got you. And that's
okay.
most important.
Wonderful. So great that you're available to answer some of these questions. Again, we have a great relationship with you. We're so helpful that we're able to have these talks. We're also talking about time limited time. So there's moments of the year where these conversations are really important to have. So we mentioned the date October 15th. Can you walk us through the period of dates where conversations can start, where you,
Yeah, that's great.
when does the booking, when does the changing and signing form start? When does that end? Yeah.
Gotcha. So for those of the individuals who are already enrolled in Medicare, they're on stuff. October 15th to December 7th, that's your annual election period. That's when you can make changes for the following year from your Advantage plans and drug plans. You can change your supplement technically any time of the year that could reflect the first of that next month. But you're going to be usually underwritten, meaning health qualifications and all that stuff. And so if you're unhealthy, you're stuck essentially. If you are healthy, then you have options. Then you have something called the actual open enrollment period. This is only for Medicare Advantage and drug plans as well. That's from January 1st to March 31st, and that's when you can make another change to those plans one time. So if you accidentally get into a bad plan because we called an 800 number that came up on the phone screen, or someone called you and you're like, I don't want to be in, you have an option to get back to where you were as far as an Advantage plan goes. So that's if you're already on it. It's really important to start booking those appointments in September. Our tax season essentially starts on that same timetable, right? For October 15th to December 7th. So generally for us at the firm, we'll send out letters in September saying, hey, it's that time of year again. Let's update our doctors and our scripts and let's go through the plans. If you're going on Medicare for the first time, or you're thinking about it, that's another set of dates. You can enroll in your Medicare A and B on your 65th birthday month, 3 months before. You can apply for it. It will start the first of your birthday month, or 3 months after. So these are your guaranteed issue periods, and this is when you after that. Now you're subject to whether you had credible coverage, things of that sort. If you didn't, what do you do? Once again, I could talk for hours on all this stuff.
And we'd love to have you talk for hours on this because this is not a one and done. This is a continuation. So we'd love to have you come back. I think one other question that as we're talking has come up that I really want you to address is one of the major parts of our ethos of VivaValet is like, there can't be any fraud. Obviously, there can't be any abuse to our olders. We're very concerned and we're very protective of our olders that we serve. So what are the major watch outs during this period that people who could be vulnerable to fraud? What are the major watch outs that would be a hard no? If you said, if someone calls you on the phone, what's the hard no?
So there's a great so anytime we're wrapping up on one of our appointments with our clients is if you get a phone call from anybody that says they're from anything, you hang up and you call your agent and validate that, hey, that's this carrier is making outreach calls, that's whatever, that we'll legitify it if that's the case. But otherwise, usually it's a call center or someone trying to sell you something. Social Security, Medicare, they're gonna talk to you through the mail. The mail, which also full of a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong, we have throwout parties every year with our clients. So these are the keepers, and then this is the pile that we recycle and throw away. I don't have the symbols up or anything like that, but when you're getting your mail, same concept. If there's a seal on there that's from the Centers of Medicare Medicaid Services, CMS, and there's a bird, it's on the Medicare and You book. If it has those symbols on it, it's legitimately from the government. Everything else, marketing. It's trying to sell you something. So short answer is, I guess, screen your telephone calls. Don't just pick up every call that comes in. If it says spam likely, it's likely to be a spam.
Okay. Super, super helpful. So, John, I think you've just offered an incredible service to us and our whole community in VivaValet, our olders, our others that are supporting olders. I hope that we can have you come back and maybe we navigate through other questions. You touched on supplemental insurance. Maybe we come back next time and talk about supplemental insurance once we get through this open enrollment, or not open, sorry, once we get through this enrollment period,
Sure.
this last quarter of the year. But I'm just so grateful that you've been able to be here with us today and walk us through the nuts and bolts of how to navigate these next couple months.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And I think a good topic to also cover is, what does Medicare not cover? Right? Probably a good one. And so that kind of goes into what you're talking about. So yeah, love to be here. I'm around. Maybe not during October 15th to December 7th, though.
Wonderful. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much, and I'm gonna cut off our recording.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chad.